the presidency and the office of the president felt that it was wrong to have done that. I was of the opinion that the president could have excused himself from Twitter. After all, I would have thought he would say, see, going forward, all correspondence, all pronouncements and announcements coming from the office of the president or the presidency would be gotten through this other channel or our website, so that we can keep the integrity of the message to Nigerians instead of via Twitter. After all, Twitter is not in the constitution that we must use it. Yeah. And the president has the right to either be on it or not be on it. Is that something that could have been done? Has it been done before? Yeah. And Nigerians know that, okay, when we want information from the presidency, this is where we go instead of Twitter.
Yes. I will draw a simple case study to the case of Donald Trump in the United States. And I mean, this was exact statement. After the looting, then would come the shooting. And Twitter is a private platform. And there are rules and regulations on this platform. If you're going to enjoy the benefit of something, you must also walk by the rules of that particular platform. Immediately, Donald Trump did what? His account was also suspended while being the president of the United States of America and as the president of the free world. And he found an alternative. It wasn't an offense against the government of the United States. It was an issue between a private platform and the person of Donald Trump. And the presidency must know that, you know, if they've enjoyed the benefits of the outreach, either publicity for their programs and policy, and they've been able to curry, you know, a lot of fans and followership through Twitter, you know, whenever you engage on that platform and you're not playing by the rules, you should expect that such a thing would happen. And it also brings us back to that position where we ask ourselves as public office occupiers that, you know, what action do we take that begins to represent the fact that this is suppression of human rights or suppression of, you know, rights of expression, of, you know, political intolerance and the rest of it. And the president must be very careful so that in taking decisions or going in certain directions, that those actions are not communicated as it is now to the international community, to the economic sectors and the rest of us, to citizens, that this is not the right thing to do.
Let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Trust the Center Fresh Liquid Field Gum to refresh your confidence instantly. Center Fresh Liquid Field Gum. Trust the freshness.
Not all washing powders are the same. Sunlight adds bursts of freshness to cleaning power to give you Sunlight 2-in-1 for sensational cleaning and freshness that lasts and lasts and lasts. Sunlight 2-in-1. Sensational cleaning with burst after burst of freshness.
How hot is she?
Maybe a 7. How hot is he?
8.5.
Whoa, how hot is she? Very hot. Pick me, just pick me, baby. Come pick me, girl. Man, I'm all ready for you.
Mmm, so tasty.
He's so lucky.
Stop being jealous, man.
Mini-Me, taste the fun.
Introducing the new Mini-Me Chin Chin Classic flavor.
Please keep an eye on them.
Oh, that's all right.
Uncle Paul, look. I want to be a pilot when I grow up.
That's good. I've always wanted to be friends with a pilot.
Uncle Paul, what's your job?
I help people understand things.
Like a teacher?
Almost. I help explain to mummies and daddies what they can do with their money. I help people build stuff. And I'm always there when they are happy and when they are sad. I help people grow all kinds of things.
You're a farmer!
Not quite. I help people keep and grow their money so later they come back when it's bigger for themselves.
You're a magician.
Just like a pilot, I help people move from where they are to where they want to be.
Thank you, Uncle Paul.
Pilot.
ARM. Invested in your tomorrow.
Bye. Bye.
Don't worry, dear. I'll take care of it. How do you manage to keep your fabric so white? Wow. And how do you manage to keep your house this clean?
I always use Hypo to make our white clothes whiter and to keep our home clean and germ-free.
Make your white fabrics whiter and your home free of illness causing viruses and germs with the disinfecting power of Hypo Bleach.
Thanks for staying with us. We still have our legal practitioner, Mr. Debaya Razak, with us. I had a question before the break. Go ahead.
Okay, so I realize that there are many countries that have successfully created a structure to limit the powers or limit the abuse, let me put it right, the abuse of social media, because we can agree that many people have taken this freedom of speech a bit too far and spreading lies consistently, causing major mayhem across the world. But our country's reaction was very reactionary, and it speaks wrong to our ability to maintain the rule of law. And when somebody is hurt or uncomfortable, a policy can be changed, which would also reduce the level of trust international investors would have in our ability to maintain our sides of the arrangement. And I want to give you an example of, example of how India went about this, because India also had issues with Twitter, and they created a law, and Twitter gave, India created a law that signed into law a management system that every social media should put in place, and gave a time frame of 3 months for them to effect that system. And if they didn't effect the system, which happened in May, they were going to be banned. But there was like a thought towards the process, a law to back it up, which is why Nigerians are asking that, please, on what basis would our Attorney General try Twitter users? Like, as a lawyer, how would what's the law backing the prosecution of Twitter users? Is there a law banning Twitter? And is there a law that they would use to prosecute Twitter users that are using VPN?
All right. In respect to the position of the Attorney General, I mean, with due respect to his person and his office, I would say that the Constitution is clear. Nothing is an offense in Nigeria except it's prescribed by law, and the punishment thereof, also prescribed. But however, we can quickly draw our mind to, the criminal code. I think section 50 and 51 talks about sedition. And, sedition basically is saying that publishing materials that are capable of inflaming, creating crisis, inciting the public against the government. But the problem and why the Office of the Attorney General has not referred to that law, or in all that's been said in respect to regulation of social media, that particular law has not been referred to. Now, it has to do with the judgment. I think it's Otto Nwako against the state. And it had to do with when Chief Jim Inwodo was a governor of a state, and this particular person had published articles, that the state considered as inciting or insulting or capable of inflaming. And, he was sentenced to a year imprisonment. But there was an appeal at the Court of Appeal, and that judgment was overturned. And the basis of overturning that judgment is this, that the law of sedition, or that talks about publication of things that are considered to be inflammatory within the society or causing unrest, that those laws are primitive to democratic practice. And that as long as we are in the dispensation of democracy, that the government must be willing, the government must also be open-hearted to criticism, dissenting opinions, and that even the law on sedition itself provides that as long as what is considered to be sedition is done in the interest of pointing the governor or the president to an ill doing or to a misnomer or a maladministration within the context of that democratic practice, that can no longer be known as sedition. So what the law is basically saying is that in democracy, if something is wrong, it's the power belongs to the people. The people has the responsibility of, the utmost responsibility of check and balance within the society. They must be able to call for accountability from the government. The government must be willing and transparent enough to give the people a sense of belonging in governance by ensuring that when they are checked, they are not vindictive about it, you know, and that democracy is not dictatorial, or is it a suppressive regime?
So let me ask you, this is a personal view now, your personal view. So do you think our democracy is mature enough? Because we've seen this play out in other countries where people incite. You know, we've seen what happened during Donald Trump's time. You could see there were various factions of different people, people on this side, on that side, you either left or on the right side. And somehow they were still able to come over that and agree at some point. But our democracy is such that, do you think it's mature to the point where people are actually given that full right? Because I question, yes, we want a democracy, but if you are easily ticked off by people's dissenting views, then it's not a democracy anymore. So how do we begin to mature this democracy such that the leaders we have can understand and have that maturity to know that people would have dissenting views?
Right, the person that should be speaking up for the people at the National Assembly. And I'm wondering how quiet they have been concerning this.
Thank you very much. I'll say this. I mean, I always say it wherever I get the opportunity to say that. You see, in democracy, you have politics and then you have governance. And there's a clear, distinct line between what is governance and what is politics. You know, politics is what you go to the ballot box to do. After that process is complete, what is left is governance. And so the Nigerian political class must come to a place where they understand that governance is all-encompassing. And that in governance, you know, the biggest check, the biggest, you know, responsibility is to the people. And I would like to re-echo our position in respect to the legislative institution. The legislative institution is that institution that's supposed to drive either the direction or the development of democracy in any institution, in any political space, because they are the conscience of the people. I mean, they have the responsibility and the power of the people to act within a democratic setting. And they are supposed to safeguard the excessive use of power, of political power by the executive class. It's basic knowledge. Executive make the laws. The executive execute the laws. The legislature make the laws. The judiciary is supposed to enforce. But when we have in our politics an executive that makes the law, enforces the law, then that's a destruction of the concept of democracy. And that's why we must come back to this position where we say, now, the federal government or the executive government cannot by any means, if he has a problem with anybody in the community or in the society, they must also go to the court to establish their rights or to get justice where that is necessary and not take laws into their hands.
Let's put issues out there clearly. The president had tweeted, and some people didn't like the use of language.
Yes.
And you know, it was criticized, and days after, it got to Twitter taking it down. People reported his tweets.
Yes.
And what's his name? Adamu Garba, speaking on behalf of the president.
Adamu Garba, yeah.
Speaking on behalf of the president was like, you know, the Nnamdi Kanu's tweets are more inciting, and they've been out there. Nothing has been done by Twitter to them, and you know they're checks. Let's understand how Twitter gets to take down the tweets. Do we need to report every tweet that is taken down? Do they have language flag off that, you know, that helps them take down certain words? What exactly happens to tweets getting
We're going to break. When we come back, we'll look at that. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Sometimes you want something so bad. You work at it, and it just feels like it isn't working. What I have found out is the harder you work, the better chance you have at getting what it is you want. I remember longing for the days I could afford my essentials. I mean, I wanted luxury, but my essentials were priority. Patience, I have figured, goes a long way, even when it doesn't seem like it's for you.
From sundown to sundown, we go work together, yeah. 'Cause I'm always on time, people.
But as they say, good things come to those who wait. Right now, there's nothing that can stop me from being the best. I have worked hard. I have waited. I have my essentials. The world is mine.
Guys, we can't leave. We've got to finish the client's order tonight.
This time?
How about some top tea to cheer us up?
Only one bag of top tea makes 2 strong cups, so taste to know more flavor, enjoyment, friendship, and upliftment.
Wow, this looks gorgeous. Beautiful.
Taste to know. Top tea.
As I wake up in the morning, freshness fill the air. My confidence stay high, so I go as confirm man. Fresh bobo, fresh bobo, odogu, fresh bobo.
Only freshness and cosmetic cleaning is not enough. That's why you need the power of Double Green Gel. Double Green Gel is naturally formulated with a unique blend of mint, lemon, and other trusted herbs and ensures fresh breath and strong white teeth. Double Green Gel, freshness as well as protection.
Working out can be exhausting, but I know just what to reach for when my team needs replenishment. I just want to relax and enjoy myself at home. That means it's me, my favorite movie, and my favorite yogurt. Hollandia yogurt comes in 2 variants, plain sweetened and strawberry. Wholesome nourishment from your favorite brand.
Someday when I grow up, I would like to be a great innovator, or a singer, or a doctor, or even a president.
I believe my son can achieve anything. That's why I support his dreams with Twisco. It's a delicious mix of cocoa, malt, and milk. Twisco is fortified with Enafort, a special blend of vitamins and minerals that provides the nourishing support to get ahead.
Twisco, power your dream.
Did she just say she spent the money? You spent the money?
If Trisha was your girlfriend and you can't give her 100,000 naira,
what can you yet talk the other one now? Eh?
In Nollywood, we know how to give a good shout.
Why they go kind of go inside room and say, come on, and sing open the inside, Babo?
Because if we don't, you just won't get it.
Nicholas took care of you. What were you wasting our time then? You had us beg you.
I'm sorry, I was just trying to mess around with you.
What?
Shouting is fun when it's dramatic.
Now you can catch up with your favorite programs on TVC. Log on to www.youtube.com/TVC Entertainment. Join the fun.
Thanks for staying with us. So before the break, Nima had asked a question concerning how this works. Would you like to respond to that?
In respect to this particular case study, this is how it works on Twitter now. You have an account with Twitter. You put on an information there. Now, let's remember that, you know, there's a back end. And this is what happens there. There are policies on that platform that talks about what one can do and one cannot do on the platform. For example, things that could be offensive on the basis of religion, on the basis of culture, or even on the basis of humanity generally. And so there are keywords that are on the back end that once you put them in, it flags up immediately. That's one level of check. The second level of check is this, that don't forget that this is globalization, is a community of people or a community of businesses interacting on one platform or virtual platform. And so most times you are either sending out a message to a group of people or to an individual. And so people who view that message or receive that message also have capacity to report that message as being inciting or offensive, either on the basis of culture,
but that's where
religion.
The issue is, because I know, sorry to cut you, that's where the issue is, because I think we must also acknowledge that some of these things are flawed. Because we've seen, I think it was a blogger, I think it was Kingsley or Kunle, that people came out together and reported a certain post so many times that it was flagged and he lost his page. This happened to a few celebrities where people just have this vendetta against you and report before you know it, they pull it out. So their system also is flawed such that if people can just maliciously come up with something against someone, they can do that and pull, and then it flags it.
But they also have a system to report. You know, if your post was unlawfully brought down, you can write a mail to the company and appeal what has been done. Our government didn't follow the due process, but decided to react to the situation without following.
They could have fixed that problem.
They could have fixed that problem. They could have followed what India did, which is create a law. India created a law and said both Facebook and Twitter must have an Indian office with an Indian representative. Someone that they can talk to as a government if they feel something is wrong there. That is a process. That is where the government wants to solve the problem. There's this guy called Farouk Kwarogi. I really want to read him. He said you can ban Twitter, or you cannot ban rebellion against injustice. That Nigeria isn't dysfunctional or insecure because of social media. It is dysfunctional and insecure and totally perilously on the brink because of the government's inability to bring us together. Hallelujah. So it's not by banning, it's by gathering us together.
This, but I think I'll let you have the final words on this because we have to run.
I want to round up with a position, and I believe that, you know, Twitter itself is a means. It's not the end in itself. And it's merely a platform. And it can adopt itself into be a social political platform. It can be a social economic platform. It can even be a social cultural or ethno-religious platform. So it's the different users who then bring their views and establish it or communicate it through the medium of Twitter. And what my own simple advice to the government would be is this, that while we believe that the corporate existence of Nigeria is very sacrosanct and must be protected at all costs, because I also believe in one Nigeria. However, in respect to this particular matter, the government must find a people more oriented approach to solving this problem. And they must, again, reassure the people that this is not about suppression. This is not about public abuse of trust or of office of power. This is not about intolerance, that they are genuinely interested in Nigerians and not themselves.
Right. Thank you very much. We have to wrap up. In addition to the people-oriented approach, it must be the people-oriented people. Because the way you say it, who you say it, and how you say it is also very important. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us on the show.
Thank you very much.
Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we have another guest. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
And Kara shopping with the right place.
That one no fine.
You know, nice.
No, it's too dull.
This one.
Oh wow, it's beautiful. Omo, this fabric, it gon' fade though.
Yeah.
Look, make I tell you something. The new area Ankara, it go take good care of it.
No right. Not lie. Not true.
And the price, cheap.
Try new Ariel on your Ankara and colors now.
The place and brighten, make everybody be wonder. Waiting because I'll be shining. Lush hair, lush hair. Long hair or short doesn't matter. Crochet or dreadlocks can be better. Only for girls we know better. Lush hair, lush hair. slay, slay with swag. Gotta be lush, gotta be lush, straight up curly. You know they tango, lie. Gotta be lush, gotta be lush.
Beautiful people know how to make an impression, and that's why they only trust Lush Hair Extensions to bring out the shine in them. Lush Hair, be beautiful.
A new life is here with Enterprise Life Assurance. Our decades of experience in the West African markets will help you achieve your dreams with peace of mind. Visit www.myenterprisegroup.io/NG or call 0700 Enterprise to know more. Enterprise Life, your advantage.
Bye.
Bye.
Don't worry, dear. I'll take care of it. How do you manage to keep your fabric so white? Wow. And how do you manage to keep your house this clean?
I always use Hypo to make our white clothes whiter and to keep our home clean and germ-free.
Make your white fabrics whiter and your home free of illness causing viruses and germs with the disinfecting power of Hypo Bleach.
Thanks for staying with us. So joining us on the show from our Abuja studio is Kingsley Moghalu, the former Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria and ex-presidential candidate. He's a political economist, lawyer, former United Nations official. He'll be sharing with us his views on the state of the nation, security, volatile state of his region, the Southeast. Welcome to the show, sir. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yes, good to have you on. Let's start very quickly with...
Thank you.
Yeah, let's start very quickly with this Twitter ban, because I know you're an economist also, and many have decried the economic setback banning Twitter would have on our economy. What are your general thoughts on this, sir?
Well, I think, it sends a very wrong message in terms of the investment climate of the country. Yes, it will stifle foreign investment. We know in the first place that Twitter bypassed Nigeria and went to Ghana to set up operations. It will also affect a lot of small and medium-scale businesses. SMEs, they make up about 90% of all the businesses in Nigeria. And I want you to understand that the informal economy, where you will find a lot of these small enterprises, make up about 65% of Nigeria's GDP. Yeah. So it's going to cramp the hustle of several Nigerians. And this is just not good at all.
Right.
Well, some people who have said that the Twitter ban was really done to, just foster unity in our country, that there's just so much negative rhetoric on Twitter anyways, apart from the tweet, that major controversial tweet itself. They're just constantly fighting between regions, across religious lines, ethnicity, and things like that. And so people are saying maybe this ban would help foster some form of unity and remind us of where we are meant to be.
I've lost sound.
Oh.
Okay.
Did you hear me now?
Okay.
Did you hear her?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, no, I'm not hearing her anymore.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so some people have said Twitter has been toxic anyways. You know, apart from these controversial tweets that brought about the ban, there's just so much negativity on Twitter anyway. People are constantly fighting across religious and ethnic lines anyway. So maybe, you know, economically, it's not the right thing, it's not the best thing for right now. But to foster unity and bring Nigerians back to believing in each other, maybe this is a good step.
Do you agree with that?
No, you didn't hear me.
No, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. There are problems with social media all over the world, including in Nigeria. But that's a very different thing from saying that the government trying to cripple the constitutional right to free expression by Nigerian citizens will bring about national unity. I don't see how that works, because I think what it's doing is that it is uniting many citizens, especially young people, who use Twitter as a platform against the government. So I think, you know, while they may have a legal right to stop Twitter's operations, because Nigeria is a sovereign country and can control its space, but the political and economic and social effect, I don't think is positive at all. I think it's quite negative. Issues of the toxicity of Twitter is a different matter. I think it's for Twitter to regulate its users and for us to find a way to improve the value of Twitter as a means of exchange between ourselves.
Right. Okay.
So that's what I would say.
So I need to take you into the Southeast and the insecurity challenges going on there. It was mentioned by the minister Alhaji Mohammed that the IPOB and Nnamdi Kanu's tweets were not taken down, and sort of we can see the level of violence that increased in the Southeast with the rhetorics concerning burning down security, killing security officials, burning down of police stations. What would you say concerning the IPOB and Nnamdi Kanu and the insecurity that has really increased within the Southeast?
Well, let me, first of all, address the insecurity. Can you hear me?
Yes, very clearly.
I can hear you.
Okay. On the insecurity, more broadly, I personally condemn any violence in the Southeast or anywhere else in Nigeria. Whether it's violence against security officers of the state, whether it is political assassinations such as Ahmed Gulak, whether it is also, as has been reported, extrajudicial killings of innocent civilians by security forces, perhaps on the suspicion that they are part of secessionist agitations. So I think, you know, we must condemn violence in all forms. The next thing I would say is that we need these incidents to be clearly investigated and the public informed of who exactly is behind them. Yes. I don't think that has quite happened yet. There are a lot of things that are going on in the Southeast. There's also political rivalry between some political personalities, we know. So there's a mixture of various things, and it's a very confusing situation. But I believe that peace must be restored in the region. But I also believe that an excessive militarization of the Southeast is ultimately not the best solution to what is fundamentally a political problem. And so I think the government needs to go into the question of the agitations and what's the root of it, what's causing it. That's what I would call leadership. If the only thing you have is a hammer, then everything looks like a nail. And you hammer away. Well, that doesn't necessarily solve the problems.
Right. Okay, let me get a few more questions if we got any more.
So it's calculated by certain agencies how much we've lost so far since the ban. Someone puts it at 12 billion e-commerce. That's what they said on The Guardian, front page of The Guardian this morning. It said 12 billion e-commerce suffers as Twitter ban, and 7.5 billion naira lost in 3 days, according to the front page of The Guardian headline this morning. How do you calculate what we've lost so that we understand how important it is commercially?
Well, you know, there are various ways of making such calculations. I have not read this particular report, but I would want to suppose that it is credible.
Okay.
It may not be exact.
Right.
A lot of these things are estimations. But the important thing is that significant economic value is being destroyed by the federal government's decision.
All right,
and that is wrong, because that means that it is acting against the interest of Nigerians ultimately.
Let's come to the issue of leadership. At this point, people are simply tired. I mean, in the southeast, people feel unsafe. In the southwest, south, middle belt, everywhere in the country. In your view right now, where the secessionists are there, those who are coming for self-determination, restructuring, what is the way forward? Because some are saying, you know what, if they want to secede, let them secede. Some are saying if they want to self-determine themselves, fine, just let us be peace. As a leader who you also aspire to become president one day, what is the right strategy for the presidency or the president to adopt at this moment where the voice for division is so loud across all regions? What's the strategy at this time?
Yes. If I were to be president of Nigeria and I were to face this sort of situation, the way forward is as follows. One, you must bring down the temperature. The way to bring down the temperature is to reach out to all these agitators and to say what's driving your agitation. It is obvious that we do not have an inclusive government in this country.
Okay.
I don't think we need to debate that.
Right.
When people feel excluded and marginalized, they react in different ways. Beyond that, I would go forward to initiate and support the process of fundamental constitutional restructuring of Nigeria based on a new people's constitution.
Right.
The Nigerian state is increasingly losing legitimacy in the eyes of many of its citizens.
Right.
And a true leader would respond to this by doing something fundamental that addresses the problem. Not pretend that the problem doesn't exist, or simply view everyone who is protesting as a troublemaker. That is the reflex of a dictatorship, not the reflex of a democracy.
Yeah. You know, there's this thing that worries me when we have people come out to run for office. Our country is usually based, we tend to choose people based on where they're from and the religion that they practice. And sometimes we see people, especially, let me be specific, like from the southeast, when we say leaders are coming out of the southeast to run for president, many people will say, we don't want anyone from the southeast to ever be president of Nigeria because they have this secessionist ambition. Can we trust them to come and be leaders of our country and so unite us? Look at what is happening already in the region. Can a non-Southeastern Nigerian trust a leader from the southeast to run for president and be the president of Nigeria and maintain the unity that we have been clamoring for, that we constantly preach about?
That's a very good question. Let me respond to it and just allow me a little bit of time to express myself. The reason you have this type of situation is because of the very toxic narratives that have been peddled around in the Nigerian space, arising from the country's history. Secondly, I want to tell you that these narratives are wrong, because a vast majority of Nigerians from the Southeast are peace-loving people who want to remain part of Nigeria. They may have their issues with the Nigerian state, but not everybody wants to secede simply because they come from the Southeast. You have to distinguish these two things. After all, people from other parts of Nigeria also have complaints against the central government, whether it's in the South-South or in the Southwest. Would you accuse all of them of being secessionists? Should we say that everybody from northern Nigeria is a Boko Haram? These kinds of narratives should stop. They are nonsensical. Going specifically, let me give you myself as an example. I worked in the United Nations for nearly 20 years, helping to rebuild failed states, resolving conflicts, the type of which we are seeing in Nigeria today. I am offering myself to be president of Nigeria with a vision to heal our country. So it's not about where I come from. It's about the individual. What's his vision? What's his capacity to govern? People should not be stereotyped. I think it's wrong.
Right. Okay, go ahead.
I want to go back to your aspirations, and I read a comment earlier that we can't, social media didn't cause the problems that we're seeing in Nigeria, and also the fact that many people have been severely suppressed, and they feel a sense of our voices are not heard. And these are the people that can easily become tools in the hands of anyone who can say the right thing at the right time. And there's a school of thought that I sort of agree with that says that the lack of unity in the Southeast has led to the power that is seemingly given to Nnamdi Kanu, that if the Southeastern leaders had come together and galvanized the young hands that are now seemingly being put into Eastern Security Network and IPOB, if we had used them positively, if they had spoken up in time, we won't give Nnamdi Kanu the platform he has now to say that he's bringing the Southeast together, he's speaking for the people. Do you agree with that school of thought? And what would you say should have been done at the right time to stem the level of separationist comments that are coming from the Southeast right now?
Again, I want to remind you that you should not conflate the decibel of noise coming from some individuals in the region as representing the majority view in the region. I want you to be very careful. Secondly, I have criticized myself in the past the governors in the region for not having acted quickly enough to establish a security network when the herdsmen, the killer herdsmen terrorists, were ravaging the region. The Southwest governors came together across party lines and set up Amotekun. It was controversial, but self-defense is the first law of nature. Nobody can allow, and no responsible leader can allow any group of people to be coming into their jurisdiction, killing people, raping people, taking their property. So, you know, if the federal government is unable, as has been the case, to restrain or prosecute or stop this terrorism, then the state governments had a responsibility to stop it.
Right.
Somehow. But they did not act on time. In that vacuum, the IPOB moved in and set up their own security network. So the Southeast governors have now set up a network they call Ebubago, but I don't believe they acted on time.
Right.
And nature abhors a vacuum.
All right, let me go to the issue of constitutional review, because Deputy Senate President Moghalu had said that the current constitutional review that is ongoing by the Senate, where they're going to various regions, is the best they can do, because the Constitution doesn't allow them to do anything outside that, because people are demanding that, let us renegotiate. He's saying that the Constitution we have right now does not give us that opportunity to renegotiate according to Section 8 or Section 9 or so. That has to be amended, that has to be either expunged or amended first before we now have the constitutional backing to have a new conversation. In your view, I mean, do you think, is it right? And if it's right, how best do we go about to have this renegotiation legally?
Well, thank you. This is a very important question as well. You can take a legalistic approach to the matter of constitutional review, or you can take an approach that actually wants to renegotiate, restore, and stabilize Nigeria. The constitutional review process that is going on will not solve Nigeria's problems. Nigeria needs to be born again. Nigeria needs a rebirth. It needs a new constitution made genuinely by the people. And I think if we're serious about that, we will find a way to do it. There's something called the doctrine of necessity. The current National Assembly can also create a legal framework that allows for the convocation of a constituent assembly to frame a new constitution. It's a constitutional amendment itself.
Exactly.
You see? So this is what, you know, there are several ways that this problem can be effectively addressed. It's about political will.
Sir, sorry to focus so much on the East, but we know a lot of these agitations coming from the East are getting more louder by the day. The president before 2019 had done something that I don't think is talked about enough. All the soldiers who took part on the side of Biafra in the war were settled and reinstated into Nigeria Army, and their entitlements paid to them by this administration. And you said they didn't act on time to quell the agitations. Are you aware of that? And what do you think? Was it not enough?
Well, there are many bases why people feel dissatisfied with the government and with the Nigerian state generally. Right now, for example, you will see that all the heads of the three constitutional arms of government come from one part of the country and one religion. The president, the chief justice, and the Senate president. If you look at the National Security Council, or if you look at the security architecture of Nigeria, you will see that it is heavily skewed in a particular direction. The Southeast, for example, will tell you that they are not even seriously represented there. So there are many fundamental issues that cannot be swept under the carpet by processes such as repaying people their gratuities or whatever. That is good, but it doesn't address the fundamental issue.
Right.
There is a fundamental issue of alienation that some parts of this country are feeling.
Right.
And the more we pretend about it, the less we're able to solve the problem and unite this country and take it forward into prosperity. That is my vision, and that is why I have declared again my interest to contest for the presidency in 2023. Because if you give me Nigeria as its president, in 4 years, you will not recognize it.
Okay. Okay.
Because I will bring leadership that is effective.
Right. Okay. You know, let's stay on this, your vision for being president of Nigeria for a little while. I said that this past 4 years, in fact 8 years, has allowed for me to ask different questions of people who are asking to lead our country. There used to be a time, just what you said now was enough for me to clap for you. I will change it in 4 years. But these are our issues right now, security. And we're talking deaths on a daily basis, kidnapping of our children from schools. No one is safe anymore. People drive out to drive out of their homes. They don't come back because people are kidnapping them. Health sector, total decay. Education, almost non-existent. Our security forces fighting the Boko Haram, same, no arms, no ammunition. That is the state of our country right now. And then we have people complaining about how expensive running the government is in Nigeria. We're talking about bicameral and unicameral legislation. This is where we are right now. So we need a person with great vision to come to try to be our president. So what exactly would you be doing and offering Nigerians?
In my announcement of my interest in the presidency of Nigeria in 2023, I said that Nigeria needs, and I will bring, a visionary and inclusive and competent leadership on the one side. On the other side, the country needs to be constitutionally restructured. So I have identified the fundamental issues, and I shared a vision codenamed SWAG, S-W-A-G, SWAG agenda, and that is security for Nigerians and for the Nigerian territory, a war against poverty, accelerated education and health care reform, and good governance. SWAG. So, I'm the man with the swag.
Okay, yeah, we figure it.
You should check out people's track records when you are assessing them. Okay. Not just their promises. Check what I've done in the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Nigerian economy. Check what I did in the United Nations.
All right, so
check what I've done as a professor, and then you can come to your conclusions.
All right, so you have obviously used our show to campaign for yourself, but thank God it's not yet time for campaign. But I think going back to the issue, going back to the issue, one of the most heartbreaking things is the fact that our legislature at this time seems to be mute. I mean, you will think at this time the various representatives of the people will begin some aggressive conversation within the House where they are debating. And I mean, I must first appreciate what the senators are doing across the country. We are commendable. But the real conversation where we are seeing the debates, the pulse of Nigerians being reflected in the conversations in the House, we haven't seen that much. In your view, what can they begin to do to at least amplify the voices of the masses at this time in the House?
First of all, I think that if members of the National Assembly are not reflecting the voice or the will of the people who voted for them, the people have the option of a recall proceeding. But you see, our electorate is not very sophisticated. And this is why voter education is very essential ahead of the 2023 elections. People need to understand that the power lies in their hands, and that we should not sit back and watch helplessly as either the executive or the legislature fail to live up to the proper standard. What happens in Nigeria is that the presidency is very powerful. And what we're seeing today is that the legislature is not as independent as it could be or should be or perhaps even once was. So this is not good for democracy,
right?
Where we have every voice singing from the same hymn sheet. And meanwhile, the people of Nigeria are getting poorer. They are getting less secure. I want to remind you that in 2016, 70 million Nigerians were living in extreme poverty. Today, they are about 100 million. So in 5 years, about 30 million people have become extremely poor. This is just not acceptable.
All right, we have to wrap up.
The reason it is happening is because the Nigerian people are letting it happen. That's why 2023 is going to be a watershed for Nigeria.
All right, I have to run, unfortunately, but let me take a few comments on Facebook, if we can we get some talk by?
Bukola Ogutimei says, in fact, more and more people are tilting towards breakup of this country. We need to start having that conversation on the way forward. We are tired of the status quo, which favors only few in this country. Then Bilikis Mafe said, you have pushed me to Facebook by force. You have chased me away from Twitter. You know, and she's saying a glorious day to all of us on the show. Babatunde said, 1966 coup is fresh in the minds of politicians. I think that's in answer to what you're saying.
Any other one you want to take?
Josh Simon says, I hope they know that what they are doing. Nigeria has lost about 4.4 billion already in just 2 days of the Twitter ban. The government is telling us that they are not willing to fight security, because if they do, they would have thought of the security implication the ban on Twitter will cost Nigerians.
All right, that's all we can take on the show. Thank you very much, Kingsley Moghalu, for joining us this morning. We appreciate you and your thoughts. We wish you the best.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been a while I spoke with you guys, and I enjoyed it. You're very brilliant, all of you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. All right, let's wrap up the show. Thank you very much, ladies. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.